Join Walking Baseball Encyclopedia Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, every day on Locked On MLB for a unique take or a unique look at the majors, both present and past, featuring exciting guest interviews and routine check-ins from the Locked On MLB team of local experts. Subscribe to Locked On today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday. It's Stacey, the host of Locked On Yankees, former writer for Baseball Prospectus, The Hardball Times. I had stuff appear on ESPN. You can call me a lapsed baseball writer, current podcast host. Welcome to the show. You can catch us on Apple, Google, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Yankees, and you can subscribe on YouTube, because if you're on YouTube right now, you're looking at my face. So anyway, we will discuss last night's win, as uncomfortable as it was. I mean, a win is a win at this point, but there are some issues last night. We'll talk about that. We'll preview tonight's matchup and other stuff that's going on with the Yankees. So let's get into it. Last night, can the Yankees win a comfortable game? Is it too much to ask? They won a comfortable game against Cleveland on Friday when they won 8-0. That was nice. Games like that are very nice. Then they lost 2 horrible games against Cleveland on Saturday and Sunday. And then last night against the Rangers, they couldn't score more than 4 runs against the Rangers. The Rangers have 55 wins, 95 losses now. They're not good. What are you doing? And then Nestor Cortes Jr. has a rough inning, gives up 3 runs. So then it's 4-3. And it stays 4-3. God forbid the Yankees score insurance runs or runs that'll make it less sweaty. No, they have to make it one of those games that we have to sit and watch and be stiff and expect the worst, because with the way this season has gone, it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility for something bad to happen during one of those relief innings, because Cortez only pitched 4 1/3. They took him out. Now, the bullpen, I have to say, did a good job. Again, it's a 55-win team. They're really bad. They're last in the AL West, which isn't shocking with how stacked the AL West is right now. The Astros' magic number, I believe, is 6 right now. You got the A's and the Mariners are right there. The Angels, But yeah, Rangers are in the basement of the AL West, and the Yankees shouldn't have this much trouble with them. So let's go through all the numbers from last night, because, I love to do that. So they win 4-3. Only have 7 hits. Texas had 7 hits. Green picked up the win in his relief appearance. He also didn't give up a home run. Hallelujah. That's always a good thing. Gary Sanchez hit his 22nd home run of the season. Judge had an RBI. Stanton, Sanchez, Gleyber Torres. Those were the 4 runs. They were 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on base. So as I said, Cortez, 4 1/3, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits with 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and he gave up a home run to Culberson. It's only his 5th home run of the year. And Texas was 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 6 on base. And their starter, Alexi, pitched he pitched more than 1 inning. 3 1/3. That's what I meant to say. Gave up 4 runs on 4 hits, walked 6. How do you only score 4 runs when he walks 6? 6 walks, 1 strikeout, gave up the home run to Sanchez. Then Chad Green, Clay Holmes, Joely Rodriguez, and Aroldis Chapman came in and pitched 4 2/3 scoreless innings. Holmes gave up a hit. Joely Rodriguez gave up a hit. And that was basically it. Green had a strikeout. Cole was not pitching. Clay Holmes had 2 strikeouts. Rodriguez had 1. Chapman had 2. Again, Chapman had a nice not so sweaty ninth inning, which is always good for our heart rates at this point. The other slightly upsetting stat about last night, the attendance was only 22,160. I know the Yankees aren't doing that well. It's not like they're a horrible team. And I know it's a Monday night. It's almost fall. People are working. Kids are back in school. It's not going to be a lot of people. But we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, right? This is the last big homestand before the last 3-game series against the Rays. When is it? The 1st, 2nd, 3rd of October, right? Because the 30th, they're in Toronto playing Toronto. That's this stretch coming up for the Yankees after tomorrow night against Texas. They have an off day Thursday, I think, right? They're not playing a 4-game series against Boston. It's right. Okay. They have a well-deserved off day on Thursday. They play 3 in Fenway. They play 3 in Toronto, and then they come home for 3 against the Rays. Now, at that point, the Rays will probably have wrapped up the division. So maybe they'll be resting guys and they won't be trying to play hard. And maybe the Yankees could kind of win those games, but you never know, because you think the Yankees are going to do well against teams like Baltimore and Cleveland, and they can't even do that. So, yeah. Anyway, hits-wise last night, as I said, there were only 7. Rizzo had 1, Judge had 2, Torres had 2, Sanchez had 1, Urshela had 1. Yeah, I mean, hopefully tonight it's Montgomery, isn't it? Yes. And I have stuff to talk about with Jordan Montgomery. So not only the preview of his matchup with Dunning tonight, but Lindsay Adler of The Athletic wrote an article about Jordan Montgomery and how he's doing and stuff about this season. And I have a specific section of that article I would like to discuss in segment 2. But first, we're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With an updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, betonline.ag continues to be the #1 source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Use our promo code LOCKEDON. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. So, let's discuss Jordan Montgomery. Or let's preview the matchup first. And I apologize for constantly looking down at my phone, but I'm not in my permanent setup yet. It hasn't been set up yet. And when I do have my permanent setup, I'm going to look like all those other cool podcasters with shelves behind me and different screens and stuff for me to look at. It's going to be pretty awesome. We'll get there soon. So let's preview Jordan Montgomery against Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning sounds like the name of an actor, doesn't it? It sounds like he should be in a show of some sort, maybe a WB show. Remember the old WB? Yeah, okay. So Dunning is 5-8 with a 4.28 ERA in 107 1/3 innings. My brother will be so mad that I said 107. Sorry. Okay, with 103 strikeouts. See, I said it correctly there. In his last 7 games, he's 2-2 with a 4.45 ERA. His last outing, his last 2 outings. Houston, he pitched 2 innings. Oakland, he pitched 1 inning. So he's not one of those guys who pitches a long time. And then back on August 20th, there's a span there between August 20th and September 10th that he didn't pitch. So I'm assuming there was an injury there. 4 2/3 against Boston, 5 runs on 9 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So I don't know. This is the kind of guy that the Yankees can probably hit because his ERA isn't north of 6. For some reason, the Yankees always seem to have trouble with guys whose ERAs are approaching 7. I don't understand. This season is so strange, I swear. Everything about this season is weird, but that's one of the weirdest things. It just feels like every time the Yankees lineup is facing a guy whose ERA starts with a 6 and is closer to a 7, they have trouble with him. Don't know why. So look for them to actually be okay against this guy. Of course, I probably just jinxed them, but you never know. Jordan Montgomery, 5-6 on the year. Not totally his fault. The Yankees don't like scoring for him. 3.63 ERA in 144 innings on the nose with 149 strikeouts. His last 7 games, 1-1 with a 3.15 ERA. Pretty good. Again, last start against Baltimore, discussed this yesterday. 5 2/3 innings, 1 run on 6 hits, 12 strikeouts. That's a good outing. His outing against the Mets, not so good. That was back on September 10th, 3 1/3, 5 runs on 7 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Well, the 6 strikeouts were okay, but everything else about that line, not that great. And then against Baltimore, again on September 4th, 4 2/3, 1 run on 6 hits with 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So we need another performance from Jordan Montgomery that's similar to his most recent. Don't need 12 strikeouts. I mean, that would be great. And Texas isn't that great a team, so you could see it happening. But as long as he lasts closer to 6 innings and gives the bullpen a rest, because they had to be used last night, that would be a good thing. So Lindsay Adler has an article about Montgomery, and I'm going to read a blurb from it. So I'm going to have to look down and read it. So I apologize if you're watching on YouTube. I'll try and hold my phone kind of up this way so I can read it. I don't know. Anyway, Montgomery has modeled his work on the advice of the more experienced pitchers who surround him, learning from and leaning on fellow starters Corey Kluber and Garrett Cole. Early in the year, the 2 veteran pitchers helped him write out a better between starts routine that has given him a consistent foundation from which to build his success. Part of that included a new approach to his bullpen work, particularly in his pre-start warm-up program, which he said he has refocused and condensed. Quote, "It was just a matter of throwing too much in the bullpen before starts. I'd throw too much on the mound before, and I just needed to give myself some structure and focus on what I needed to work on executing in the game. I'm giving myself a set number of pitches to do that because I used to get hot in the pen, then I'd spike 6 heaters in a row, and I'd throw 12 fastballs before the bullpen was over, and I'd go out to the mound having thrown 40 pitches already." Don't the Yankees have staff coaches that can help him with this? And say, maybe you shouldn't throw so many pitches in the bullpen. Why did it take Corey Kluber and Garrett Cole to tell him what to do? Is anyone else confused by that? I don't know. My friend Linda, thanks to my friend Linda for alerting me to this, because I can't afford The Athletic right now. It's expensive. And I know I'm missing out on a lot of articles about the Yankees, really good ones. Lindsay is fantastic at her job. And, so thank you to Linda for posting this blurb for me so I could read it. But yeah, don't they have staff that can tell them not to do that? What does the bullpen coach do? Isn't that Harkey? Wouldn't Matt Blake say something to him about that? Isn't that kind of like, wouldn't you think that would be a logical thing to not do? Because you don't want to throw too many pitches in the bullpen before you start. You don't want to tire yourself out. The way I just said that reminded me of my aunt. That's why I laughed. Sorry. There's so many problems with the Yankees coaching staff. I can't even handle it. I was just discussing this with the host of Locked On Rangers. New York Rangers had just finished his show as I was about to record. So we were talking to each other in the system that we use to record. And he's a Yankees fan, and we might actually do a crossover, Rangers Yankees. And we were discussing the fact that the Yankees coaching staff right now has this horrible habit of not doing things correctly, which is why you're finding them in this position in September of 2021. Instead of winning a division or at least wrapping up a wild card spot, they're fighting for their playoff lives. And a lot of it has to do with Aaron Boone and the front office's decisions. Why are you benching Luke Voit? The man is hitting. Why wouldn't you bench Gleyber Torres? Now, I know I said in the previous segment that he had an RBI last night. He had 2 hits. He's getting a little better. But he's had problems this season. Big ones. Defensive miscues, running miscues, just looking horrible at the plate. I discussed his swing earlier in the season where it felt like he was jumping out of his shoes in order to try and hit the ball. Because I know he's feeling pressure to perform similarly to how he performed in 2019. 2019, Gleyber Torres was otherworldly. Of course, a lot of his hits were against the Orioles. The Yankees were really good against the Orioles, so that could have been a bit of a mirage in a way. And it could have made us think he was better than what he is. But I feel like that there's a better player inside of Gleyber Torres. But I also feel that the Yankees have given him too much leeway. And I feel like Luke Voit is unfairly being benched. And I don't understand why they're doing that. Because he's been hitting a little better than Anthony Rizzo. And if it's a matchup thing, I would get it. But there are some cases where it's not. And I don't understand what the coaching staff is doing. I don't get it. Anyway, if you agree with me, let me know. Because there are other things that the coaching staff has done. You know, some of the lineups that Boone has put out when they need to win a game, they're kind of punting the third game of a 3-game series. And that was happening a lot in the early part of the season to their detriment, because now they're fighting for their playoff lives, as I said. And all those losses that were piling up in the beginning of the season that should have been wins are now affecting them and making it so they need to win as many games as possible over this last stretch, which we all knew was going to happen anyway once the month started. But then the first half of September was awful. They were awful. And it continued into mid-September with this series just now against Cleveland. What are you going to do? They'll be lucky to get a playoff spot. I don't think they will. I think that this stretch coming up, after they play the Rangers and have to go to Fenway and then go to Toronto, those 6 games, they have a chance to either shock the hell out of us and take 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6. Although, I mean, in order to stay in the playoffs, they need to really win as many games as possible. So 5 out of 6. But it's one of those either or to the extreme situations where they're either going to fall flat on their faces and embarrass themselves in those 6 games, or they're going to come out and play so well that we're all going to think, where the hell was this the beginning of the month? We'll see. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone. You've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning, and then wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. You can save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto's prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you could need, from brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to all your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. I forgot to tell a story yesterday when I was talking about my dad, and it kind of coincides with an anniversary that's happening today. Can you believe that 13 years ago tonight was the last night at Old Yankee Stadium? That's insane to me. 13 years. How is that possible? I was there that night. I just so happened to automatically have tickets to that last game because I had the Sunday plan. It was a Sunday. So when I saw it in the schedule and when I saw that I had the ticket for it, I was very, very, very excited because I needed to be there that night. And if I didn't have a ticket, I would have done everything I could at that point to get tickets. 2 nights before, September 19th, 2008, hello, it was my dad's birthday. And I decided, okay, I will bring the man who introduced me to baseball to the stadium for his last game because he didn't want to go on the Sunday. And I was like, I want to do this for your birthday. And he said, okay. So I got 2 tickets, main level, just, where were we? Close to the foul pole on the main level of the old stadium on the first base side. He makes us leave in the 6th inning. Now, I'm one of those people who stays until the end, no matter what is happening. The Yankees could be losing 22-4, and I will stay at the stadium until the last out. I do not leave. He was my ride home, so I had no choice, and I had to leave. He made us leave before YMCA. Yeah, I believe the Yankees ended up winning that game. But I looked at him and said, Dad, this is your last time at the stadium. What are you doing? He's like, I've been here how many times? It's fine. I looked around, soaked it in. It's great. Let's go. And we listened to the game on the way home. So I always thought that was funny. The other funny part about it, I don't know about you, but my dad was funny with money. He didn't want me or my brother spending too much money on things. And he'd always ask us how much things cost. And he asked me how much the tickets were. I wasn't going to tell him I paid $50 for each ticket. I was happy to do it. It was my dad's birthday. It was his last time at Yankee Stadium. I would have paid $200 a ticket if I could find them. And, but I didn't want to rock the boat too much because he would know if we were sitting too close to the field that I had spent a lot of money. So I lied to my father and said, oh no, I got the tickets through work. These are NBC seats because they were close enough to the field to think that they were, because they were box seats on the main level. So he said, oh, okay. Never told him. He went to the grave thinking that his birthday tickets were free because I couldn't tell him. He would have yelled at me. Not that $50 was a lot. I was working full time at NBC. I'd been working there for nearly 10 years at that point, but he was just funny with money. So everyone talking about the last night at Yankee Stadium reminded me of 2 nights before. But let's talk about the last night at Yankee Stadium briefly. Even though it's 13 years, which is an odd anniversary, why would you want to commemorate 13 years? Especially 13. It's an unlucky number, but that's neither here nor there. They opened the gates really early. They made it a Sunday night game. And at that point, Sunday night games were always 8 o'clock. And they opened the gates at 4, if I remember correctly. So we were there for 4 hours before the game actually started. The line for Monument Park was so long that I didn't want to stand on it. I was like, it's fine. It's okay. So I just watched everyone walking through Monument Park. I soaked in everything. Like I made it a point to look at everything in the stadium while I was sitting in my seats because, it was the last night. It was going to be knocked down. The new stadium was going to open. And I just wanted to look and absorb and observe and watch everything. I have a ton of pictures from that last night at the Yankee Stadium. Oh my God. My dad just came down into my body. He used to call it the Yankee Stadium, like the Home Depot. So they had the ceremony before with the old players coming out, standing at their positions, wearing the uniforms. There was a harvest moon that night. It was just magical. The only bad thing about it was the first year in how many that the Yankees weren't making the playoffs. The game didn't mean anything other than being the last night at Yankee Stadium. You know, they beat Baltimore 7-3. During batting practice, I was watching Molina taking batting practice. And I said, he's definitely hitting a home run tonight. I think he's hitting a home run tonight because he was just crushing the ball. And it just felt like his timing was on. And he ended up hitting a home run. So I was right. Thank you. I didn't want to leave. I really didn't. They nearly had to kick me out of that stadium because I was just looking around. And after the game was over, and I filmed on a digital camera. That's how long ago this was. I still had a flip phone. Although I could have used my flip phone. It had a camera on it, but I had a digital camera with me. And I recorded when the guys took their final lap around the stadium. I was crying, and you can hear me crying. And I'm pretty sure I put that on my MySpace page. That's how long ago it was. I still had a MySpace page. So yeah, it's just, I can't believe it's 13 years ago. That's crazy. It's that many years later, and people still complain about the new stadium. If you're not watching, I just made an obnoxious face. So anyway, so let's recap. The Yankees beat the Rangers. Ooh, they beat a team that has 55 wins, like they should do. But of course, they made it a sweaty game and didn't score more than 4 runs and gave up 3. So those last few innings were kind of nerve-wracking, but they ended up winning. Jordan Montgomery's going tonight. Hopefully the Yankees will score runs for him. That's always been a problem. And yeah, that's it for this episode of Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to remind you that you can listen to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. And when you get into your car, you can tell your smart device to play podcasts Locked On Bets. Betting on the Yankees doesn't have to be a guessing game if you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch this podcast, subscribe, and like on YouTube. If you could be so kind, please rate the podcast and spread the word about this podcast to your fellow Yankee fans. We would really appreciate it. So enjoy your Tuesday. Hopefully Jordan Montgomery will get some run support, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.